Everybody hear me? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? If you have microphones, you can talk.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Nick.
Hello. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. I'm such an idiot. Hey, Richard, you're new. Do you have a microphone?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Sorry about the delay. I completely
I
forgot.
thought this was supposed to start 20 minutes ago.
It was. Nick actually texted me. He's like, no call tonight. I'm like, oh no. Completely forgot.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a twit. You'll soon realize. Nick's aware.
It happens.
What
were you busy doing?
Nothing important.
Nothing.
Like I was playing a game. I completely forgot. Like literally just completely out of my head. I wish I could say I was doing something like spectacular, but no.
I've got my own meetup, and believe it or not, I find it hard to remember that too. You'd think that since you're the one doing the presentations that you'd remember, but maybe not.
Exactly. Sometimes, like a couple times, I was in Florida, and I always want to do it. Like I'm like always up for it. It's just a question of remembering, and I am such a twit that, believe me, it can easily happen. But I'm always up for it.
Sounds good.
So, Richard, what is your entrance into notes here?
I do mostly performing. I know you guys are focusing on non-performing, but I've been kicking around this space for about 5 years. I
Awesome.
just came across your webinar, and I thought, oh, I'll just sort of check in and see what's going on.
And then you check in and nobody's there.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just happened to leave it up. I said, well, nobody's going to show up. I might as well go pee. So I went to pee, came back, and here you are. So
if Nick hadn't have texted me, I swear to God, I would never have remembered.
yeah.
Never.
Well, I thought, well, you know, because I tried to get on last time, and for whatever reason couldn't get on. I think it was because I thought it was. So I'm in San Francisco, so I thought it was 7 o'clock my time, but that's not the case.
Oh,
So,
well, we may have still been going. Always try to check in. Like I'll literally go as long as people want me to go. I've
okay.
gone until 11:30, 12. So even if you come in, even if you think it's 7, but it's really like 10 by you,
All right.
or here,
Right.
7 by you, we may still actually be going. So if you're interested, give it a whirl.
Okay. So you guys focus completely on non-performing notes, all right?
Completely. I mean, a performing note, what is there to do with it? You buy it, you board it, and you sit back and collect money. There's, you know what I mean?
You sell it as a partial, and then you get your money back, and then you sell it again, and then you sell it again, and then you sell it again.
Well, I mean, you could do that. I'm not so into partials. I don't like it as a strategy. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I mean, other than that, there's not really much you can do with them. So I'm really more about buying delinquents and turning them into value.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Well, maybe I can learn something from you guys then, because the only NPLs I've got are ones that I've inherited because people have defaulted on me. So.
Okay. So how many do you have, firsts or seconds?
All firsts.
Yeah, that's also not a favorite of mine.
Okay. Maybe I'll
Are
learn
you
something.
selling, are you actively selling your partials?
But yes,
Okay. Do you service with FCI?
no,
By chance?
allied.
Allied, okay. Because I heard at one point that FCI had some sort of functionality or some special screens and things for partials where you could, I guess, share the loan. I'm not sure how it works because I don't do it.
Right. Yeah, no, they'll do partials, but Allied and FCR are the only two that'll do them.
Oh, okay.
Actually, there's a new kid on the block called Lakeside, and I think Lakeside might do them also.
Huh.
I'm not all that happy with servicers these days, so.
No.
Nobody is ever.
I
Well, I that's not true. FCI is the gold standard. I'm very happy. I've never been unhappy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, okay, so
sort of depends
today
on what they're charging you, but yeah,
I mean, it's $15 a loan,
if you do all the stuff yourself, yeah.
and I do all that's what
Yeah.
we talk about here, like how to actually do stuff.
Right.
And I'm lucky. I have 3 partners in on it, so it's not just me doing it, because
Right.
that would be quite the workload.
Right.
Because we buy like 50 notes at a clip, so it would be a lot of work.
It would be.
But in terms of, we don't board a note until it's already worked out.
Oh, okay.
So for us, it's just the 15 a month.
Right.
But I
Good.
don't like firsts at all. Like, I'm not a fan of firsts. There's not a lot of room to make money. I know people think the risk is lower, but also the reward is much lower.
True.
Seconds, the risk is higher, but you get a much larger number of them when you buy. So if you do have a couple losers, who cares? And the return is just ridiculous.
Still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I didn't. I heard after the word "and," I didn't hear anything. So.
Oh, I said the return is just ridiculous.
Well, maybe I'll learn some stuff from you guys then. I'll
Well,
try.
good.
Yeah, I've like I say, I haven't done anything because I've shied away from it, but you never know. We've got to be nimble in this business.
Absolutely. There's a lot of changes. We just bought a tape of just for shits and giggles of non-performers. I'm sorry, unsecureds.
Oh,
So that's a little strange.
yeah, it is.
But
So do you ever buy anything from SN Servicing, or is that just bid up too high?
it's beat up stuff. It's worked. We don't like stuff that's worked to death. Hello, everyone who's joined. Welcome. And you are welcome to speak if you have a microphone. Say hello.
I guess even though people came on, nobody's going to talk.
Well, some people don't have the capability. Like Jay just said hello, but he doesn't have the capability. And we have somebody watching on YouTube. But I don't know who.
I didn't know that was a possibility.
Yes, I live stream now. It's very exciting. When I learned how to do it, I was so excited.
So you're live streamed through YouTube. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, when you set up the Zoom, it offers you an option to live stream on YouTube.
Okay.
So I was so excited. I even had a comment on one of my videos. It was very exciting. I know it sounds stupid, but I found it ridiculously exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we have to take these little victories wherever we can get them, right?
Right. The enjoyment of life. The enjoyment of life.
How long have you been doing notes?
So we've been doing notes at PAC since 2014, but 2 of us were doing notes prior to that since 2011.
Oh, good.
And
this is your full-time job or daytime or just a side time job or what?
No, I was just going to say 3 of the 4 of us, this is our full-time job.
Great.
So yeah, and really it only takes about 20 hours a week. So it's really like part-time work.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because we each take a piece. One of us is a serial entrepreneur and owns like crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Bodegas and HVAC company and some other things.
Cool. Yeah, if you can make enough income off of working those hours, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and the beauty of it really is all you need is an internet connection
Right.
and a computer, and you can really do it from anywhere. I've been in Italy and done things. I've been, you know, pretty much anywhere and have done things. The only time I've ever had a problem was in Vegas. We actually physically had to mail something.
Mhm.
We had to find a place to mail it from, so it was kind of funny.
Yeah, so my goal in all of this is to become mobile enough, and I'm almost there in terms of being able to do this from anywhere in the world. So my wife and I would like to go live in Paris for 2 months and then come back, and then maybe go live in Rio de Janeiro for 2 or 3 months and then come back, but yet keep the business going the whole time.
Yeah, you absolutely can do that. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
You want Paris right now, though?
Yeah, you
A
know what
little
I
rough
mean.
right now.
Yeah. Now I've got one client who is totally a digital nomad. I mean, she likes to do her summers in Valencia, Spain, but I just sort of ask her, "Where are you today?" And she basically has Airbnbs in Australia, several cities in Europe, and here in the U.S. and in Texas. And so she just doesn't rent them out on the days that she wants to be wherever, and
That's
she just
fantastic.
floats all over.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of my end goal. My end goal is upon retirement, to just get a custom van made,
Mhm.
one of those custom things, and
Right.
just go driving around.
Mhm. Those can be pretty nice.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've even designed it. It's fairly exciting.
Good.
So what can I tell you about notes? What can I tell anybody about notes? There's more people on here, but not everybody's speaking. So I'm missing a couple people. Joy Lynn, you can speak if you want, if you have a microphone. How are you doing, Jay? Any notes to talk about?
So what I will do, though, I will ask, since nobody else is saying anything, where would you point me if I wanted to? I mean, obviously, I know all the basics about notes, but where would you point me in terms of if I want to work in non-performing seconds like you're doing to basically learn the ropes of doing that?
Well, interesting you asked that. I would point you directly to me.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I do offer training, and it's fairly comprehensive. Everybody else that I've seen has very high level training. Mine is crazy comprehensive.
Okay.
And I don't know. Nick can plug me if he feels like it. He doesn't have to.
Do I have to plug you every time we talk?
Well, no, but he's asking.
Yeah,
And
that's a good, I would say that's a very good source of information. Absolutely.
Okay. So how are you set up? You do an hourly basis or what?
no, I do a two-day class. I don't do like mentoring or anything. I think that's kind of a rip.
Right.
But I do a 2-day class, and
Where?
I do it here in New Jersey. Very casual, nice outdoor location. Have a drink, have some lunch. we go all day. If you want to stop at 5 o'clock, we'll stop at 5 o'clock. If you want to stop at 3 in the morning, we'll stop at 3 in the morning for
Mhm.
2 days.
Okay.
You pretty much have me at your beck and call for as long as you want.
Okay.
But I think mentoring is a rip, so it's not something I do.
How
I
much
think
does
for
that-
high level stuff, there's a number of books out there too. They don't, they don't tell you a lot of detail and
Yeah,
maybe
I'm not,
people-
yeah,
but-
that's not,
there's some good books out there.
what I don't want is hype.
Yeah, mine is ridiculously comprehensive. I pretty much get into the nuts and bolts of everything. And
Yeah,
I give you my full forms library and, bonuses and stuff. So I personally feel it has significant value, which is what I always try and offer. If
Right.
I'm not providing value, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do.
How much do you charge for this?
It's $2,000 for the 2 days.
Okay. And is this email that I'm seeing flashed on here the best way to get a hold of you? info@pactest.com.
Absolutely. Look at Dennis. He got all the icons mixed up. You see it? He's got the web icon on there.
Yeah. I didn't notice that.
I totally just noticed it just now.
How often do you do the classes?
I do it on demand whenever it's convenient for you, but during the week is a requirement. Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, whatever.
So yeah, I bump it. I'm a fan of New York City, so maybe I could couple it with a trip there or something like that.
Yeah, in the summer months, way better.
Yeah.
Because again, it's an outdoor venue. Well, I mean, I could do it indoors too, but I prefer like an outdoor venue.
Right.
It's just a lot more fun, way casual. If you're
Right.
wearing khakis, you're overdressed.
Okay.
To be quite frank and honest, I smoke, so outdoors is always most convenient for me. Because I'm just more relaxed when I have a cigarette, which means you'll get more out of me.
Very good. All right. I'll roll that around and consider it. How many people do you usually have on this webinar?
There's I have a total of like 2,000 subscribers to the meetups.
Mm-hmm.
And at any given time, I only have about 8 to 10. I mean, other people are doing them at the same time. Maybe they get tired of hearing me and want to try somebody else. And so 8 to 10 usually. And I'm happy with that because I usually like to let everybody talk. And if there's many more than that, it kind of gets overwhelming. Even when I do my class, sometimes I just do a specific date. And the most I'll have is 5 because I think there's reduced value in having any more than that. Same thing here. So you're out in Cali, huh?
I am.
So not a fan.
Why is that?
Just the craziness of it over there right now. I mean, San Francisco is just disturbing at the moment.
I would agree. There's a lot going on, that's for sure.
Yeah. And most of the state is like that. I don't mind Orange County so much. Actually, a friend of mine is a mayor out there. Mayor of Los Alamitos.
Ah, I know it well.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I grew up down there. Actually, I don't care to go to Southern California at all anymore. I was just down there for a conference, and it reminded me of why I don't like it down there. I mean, it's pretty much a concrete jungle and a lot of scrubby hills, and
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not my favorite.
I'm not a fan of the West Coast at all, like, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
My nephew just moved out to Seattle. It's got me like so worried right now.
Yeah, good reason to. Depending on which doctor you talk to, we should all be wearing rubber gloves and washing our hands repeatedly right now. So
Well, you know what's interesting? I'm not particularly worried about the virus itself.
mhm.
I'm more worried about the effects of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
craziness and the reporting on it. That's what I'm really more concerned about. Like I was just going to send my daughter to London for her birthday,
Mhm.
and I called her. I said, I just can't do it because it, I'll book a ticket and pay for it, and then you won't be able to go, and then it'll be annoying for me to do all the changing and stuff. We'll do it like next year or something because it's
Yeah.
just too annoying. So the virus itself doesn't truly worry me. It's all the stuff surrounding it.
Yeah, I would agree in terms of, yeah, what you're pointing to there also. If you leave the country, you might not be able to get back in.
Oh, quite right. And really, my sister is in northern Italy,
Mhm.
so I mean, she lives there. We have a house there, so she lives there, and that's also obviously of concern. But
Mhm.
she's healthy. I mean, really, to be honest, I mean, it's sort of a mild flu. It's not
Yeah,
horrific.
right.
More people died of the strange flu strain that we had this year than this thing.
Right. It's just that a lot more people are getting this, and it's traveling a lot more. But yeah, I think the supply chain is going to be one thing that's hugely affected. We went to Target this last weekend, not to buy anything in particular. We had, dog food and that kind of stuff, but the shelves are pretty empty.
Oh boy, did you see what's going on here in Brooklyn? I mean, in,
No,
did you see that, Nick? Those pictures of the Costco in Brooklyn, the empty shelves.
I don't know if I saw Brooklyn. I've seen a couple pictures like that. It's kind of it's just overdone. It's not necessary.
Oh, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Is the virus itself is not really the problem. It's the
Yeah.
response. It's how it's affecting travel, how it's affecting, like you said, supply chains. That's really, I think, more the critical piece. That's the annoying part.
somebody's saying $300 for a bottle of hand cleanser.
Oh God. Jay writes, I will point out that the mortgage note business is a way to avoid virus scares. It is a hand off.
Well, no, but that's a good point actually, because I'm working with a couple of investors right now who they got a little nervous, and I said, there's few investments I think that are as isolated from the stock market directly, right, as notes.
Right.
And I think notes are being tied to home values, and then in my mind, the borrower's ability to pay. Those could be impacted, but it has to be a very severe, wide impact of the virus to uh, manufacturing, to the supply chains, like you said, all that stuff. So I think you're pretty insulated.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the note business is, and especially today in this raging economy, that people who couldn't pay before all of a sudden can pay now. Now's the time to buy delinquents,
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing a lot more delinquents.
Why?
Just because people, if they can't get to work, will start being able to not make their payments. And
Well, I think there's a lot of allowance being made for telecommuting. So I think, so while people are supposed to, self-isolate, or self-quarantine is the term, I think that a lot of even schools and stuff have the ability to do internet teaching. So I don't know that it's really going to impact a lot of, I mean, it may impact obviously the blue collar and the.
I was going to say most of my borrowers, homeowners are blue collar workers. So
Yeah, so you might see, but especially in California where the mortgages are fairly high. Even I mean, it's the only place I've ever seen where, like, in the ghetto of Compton, the house can be worth $400,000.
you got it. Pretty amazing.
And people buy them.
Yeah.
That's what I think is very funny. Here in Jersey, we have Camden, where for the price of a used car, you can get a house.
Mhm. Yeah, I do it when I do presentations. Because a lot of the stuff I buy is in the Midwest. I'll be in front of some group and I'll put up some pictures of some of my assets, and I'll ask the crowd and say, all right, give me a guesstimate. What's this worth? And what's this worth? And what's this worth? And then I go by and, they're all guessing 800,000, 900,000, things like that. And then I give them the actual prices of 60,000 and 70,000, and they kind of
Yes, right. Yeah, Kentucky is like that. You get a mansion for like 200,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and this guy I was talking to, he was a realtor, and he was saying he's bemoaning the fact that he was selling a 5,000 square foot, what I would consider a McMansion. It was on 2.5 acres with a pool in the back and yada, yada. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, it's so expensive. And I said, well, how much is it? And he said, well, it's $1.2 million. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, yeah. In the Bay Area, you buy a ranch, 1,200 square foot ranch style house for $1.2 million.
Are you kidding? You can get a 700 square foot bungalow for 900.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a little crazy out there.
Right. Okay, is anybody going to join us here with a question, or?
So Jay says, how does the cost of living compare in Camden, New Jersey? Candid, did you say, you said Candid, did you mean Camden? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the cost of living in New Jersey is high in general. Sales tax, property tax, income tax. Then you start getting into the cost of goods. I mean, the cost of living is just crazy here anyway. So Camden, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of strange, isn't it? So Camden just being the S-hole of pretty much the country. I mean, it's in the bottom 5 cities in the country. I don't know. But things do cost a lot more in New Jersey than they do in Florida, for example. And out in California, things are fairly crazy. You guys have high sales tax, right? What's your sales tax rate?
13%. Yeah.
Oh, that's double what we have. So you're even way worse off.
Yeah.
We do have crazy property taxes, though. I think our property taxes have you beat.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But you do go crazy on energy costs, water and utilities.
Yeah, I sold my house. And my kids have gone through college and all that. And so I was living in a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house all by myself. And I said, well, don't need this. And part of the reason I wanted to move out is my water bill was $600 a month during the summer, just to water the lawn. And I said, this is silly.
Yeah, I would definitely say. Yeah, I have like the smallest, crappiest 2-bedroom house on earth. I do. My house is 2 bedrooms. It's funny because if you look at it from the outside, it looks like, Nick, you'll appreciate this. You might not, Richard, but this looks like one of those Newark 8-bedroom houses from the outside. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
sure. Yeah.
Fairly small, but a lot of little rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But in effect, it's actually only 2 bedrooms. So, and it's not all broken up and stuff. It's actually just 2 bedrooms. But it's
right.
it's a crappy little 2-bedroom house in the ghetto. But it makes me happy.
It's up and coming area.
Well, it makes me happy because it makes my dad happy. And as long as he's happy, I'm a happy gal. And
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead. You go first.
Is anybody going to throw something up for us to learn from here?
You could throw something up for us to learn from. That's Nick
I-
is
I-
fairly good at what he's doing. So
I
I
just
think
got
he
more.
just joins me because we've become friends, right?
Okay.
Right, Nick?
Yeah, it's a good time. I like chatting about notes. I like catching up with Kathy.
Oh, Jay, the YouTube conference is my YouTube channel is Paper Assets Capital. So if you go to Paper Assets Capital, you can see it there. And you can subscribe. I'm trying to get subscribers. It kind of makes me happy every time I get a new one. I get so excited. I have like 19 now. It's very fun.
So any update on your unsecureds?
Oh,
Anything
right.
happening
So I was starting to talk about that. I got sidetracked. Sorry. So the unsecureds, what we were doing, our plan was just to board them with a, well, our original plan, I told you guys, I told you was just to send out basic collection letters. And, it was like 58 of them. It cost us $12,000 for like theoretically 3 million in UPB, but of course it's all unsecured. One of them is actually in play, which is interesting, still secured. But the whole tape only cost us 12 grand. We thought we'd give it a try, see what happens with it. For your edification, Richard, that's what our plan was.
Uh-huh.
But so we were originally just going to send out a generic collection letter. Hey, you owe us money. We'll take 5,000, you can pay us off. Never hear from this debt again. But then I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine, and apparently in every state there's different requirements for that particular kind of unsecured debt. So that whenever something like that comes up, the whole concept of risk management then pops into my head. I don't want that kind of how am I going to, do I need to know the rules and regulations for 50 states and collections? The answer is no, I don't. So we found somebody who manages portfolios for collections portfolios specifically. And we were going to use her, and we just totally did not like her structure, her setup. So she would take 40%, but we would have to pay all the expenses. So that's a problem, because what if she incurs 10,000 in expenses and recovers 12,000? Then we would theoretically actually owe her 2,800. It would cost us money.
Can you charge trips to Mexico to the note?
Perhaps we could. But that was a concern, right? So I don't want to have to pay somebody $2,800. They make $4,800, and it cost me $2,800 plus 10,000 in expenses. So that was a problem. So we didn't like her contract. So then I started, and again, I'm still in risk mitigation mode here. So then my plan now, this is the new plan, is to get collections attorneys in every single state where I need them and have them do the collection efforts, and they take 25%. So I'm sort of happier about that than I am about this woman who really has no bona fides in or certifications or anything like that. She's just somebody who does this. As far as I know, she's not a lawyer. She's not anything. So I'm feeling more comfortable about my decision to go with lawyers instead of her.
That sounds prudent.
Yeah. I'm all about risk mitigation. I'm all about like it last thing I ever want is to be sued for something stupid or for not having done the right thing.
How many states do you cover on that tape?
Hang on, I'll tell you. I actually had to make a new note log for it because it's unsecured. A lot of the stuff that's involved, I don't care about, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Let us see. I call it originally enough, pack note log, unsecured. Isn't that, that's original, I know. Hang on, I'll tell you. Jay makes the comment, what about a national collection agency? Well, theoretically, that's what this woman was. I just didn't find her that interesting. So I actually always feel more comfortable with attorneys anyway, because then I can blame the attorney if something happens.
Exactly.
And they're on the hook. And since they're taking a smaller percentage, that makes me happier too. He's smiling. He's double smiling. Jay, you're so cool. I wish you would get a microphone so you could talk to us. Let's see. That I don't need. All right. So in terms of how many states are we covering here? Let me see. It's funny too that I can't believe one of them is an actual secured. That one alone theoretically should have just been the 12 grand that this tape cost.
Yeah,
So if
that'll pay
anybody,
for the tape.
have any of them paid off yet?
No, we haven't done anything yet.
Hmm.
Other than mailing out RESPA, we haven't done anything. So we're dealing with 21 states.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's 58 notes, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Some in New Jersey, New York, California, Maryland, Alabama, Indiana, New Hampshire, Idaho, Massachusetts, Minnesota. I'm surprised to see Minnesota on there, actually. I don't see much out of Minnesota. Yeah, Arizona, Connecticut, Great Northeast is covered. So what we did was we sent out, so our process goes like this. We sent out RESPA, we waited to see which ones came back undeliverable. And then then our first tranche that we work on will be the ones that the RESPA was delivered to, was able to be delivered. The second piece, then we'll start investigating where these people are and actually are, and start working on that. The other side, the other piece to this is that it's actually fairly simple to get a deficiency judgment and relatively cheap. So it's like $1,500 max instead of the minimum on a foreclosure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually good benefits to this. So again, this is just to test the waters, just to see if we can get into a new piece of it.
Yeah, why not?
In our Nick, ridiculous. In our new note group, there's a tape going around. Not new note group, same note group, but new tape going around. And these people are crazy. They're talking about delinquent seconds being 50 to 80 cents on the dollar. You kidding
Yeah.
me? We're like, yeah, no. There's not enough room there to make money.
I agree.
I mean, the max I would do is 50 for something that's fully covered.
I'm surprised you go that high.
I mean, I would, because there's room to make money, right? I mean, if a note is, if at 50 cents, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. You know, it's all about return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one is interesting. So anyway, we'll see what happens with it. It's still in the testing phase. We're working on. I've sent out the rest, but we received 17 back, I believe, undeliverable out of 58. So that leaves 41 in play for our first go round. It's kind of good. And one that's still secured, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Nassau County.
Mm-hmm.
So that one actually might be worth money. Wow, that one has a monthly payment of $1,900 in a second position. That's interesting. It's crazy interesting. What's the UPB on that? What is the UPB? UPB is 192,000 on that one. It's pretty good. That makes me happy. Huh. Have to work on that one. Wasn't actually going to work on any of these, but I'll have to work on that one. So back to notes. What can I answer immediately for you, Richard, that you might be interested in delinquents?
Well, I guess, how are you sourcing them? It sounds like you're buying tapes. Who's generating the tapes? What's your normal sort of purchase price versus value of the house, that type of thing?
So, well, we don't really care. Our price is not based on the value of the house. Our price is based on the UPB. And first, you buy on either the BPO or the UPB.
Mm-hmm.
In seconds, it's pretty much just the UPB. So value, we care about the value of the house only in terms of equity.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pay on it at all. For sourcing, it's always the question. My answer is always the same. You have to go to conferences and stuff and formulate relationships with people.
Okay.
It's really the best way you're going to find stuff.
Right.
And I can't, it's funny because a lot of people, how do you do it? Well, I can't tell you how to do that. You
Yeah,
know how
no,
to formulate,
I got that down.
Yeah.
I'm okay there. So
Yeah. A lot of people ask me that, like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I just can't direct you.
okay. And
about
what's
that.
what's your target yield on what's your stuff?
Target minimum is 30. We more often than not exceed that by sometimes, 80 we've had, and way higher, but our minimum is 30 we like to get.
And average loan size that you would buy?
Oh, we don't care. We'll buy. The only thing the only rule we have on that is we have to make at least 10,000. So obviously we don't buy small UPBs.
Mhm.
So we need to make at least 10,000 in order to have it be worth our time. We'll buy anything. If it's 300,000, we'll buy 300,000. If it's 100,000, we'll buy 100,000. And we buy in all 50 states. We don't really have any limits on that at all, other than
When you say 300,000, no, that's the UPB. That's not what you're paying for it.
right.
Right.
You
Okay.
asked me about loan size.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, we don't care. I mean, we'll buy anything.
Okay.
Just
And
not small ones.
most of these are 50 cents, or I mean, give me a range. Can you buy?
Well, we don't generally pay 50 cents. The most we've ever paid
Mhm.
for a tape
Mhm.
was like 27 cents. Because we're in a note group where we join forces with other people, come up with large sums of money,
Mhm.
and you tend to get them at smaller price points when you do that.
Mhm.
And we don't really buy one-offs. We buy full tapes.
Right.
I mean, we've been known to buy a one-off if it's a good deal, but it's not our general rule of thumb.
You get better pricing that way.
Yeah, way better pricing when you buy tapes and you buy, when we join forces with other people, I have 500,000, you have 500,000, Nick has 500,000. Together we have 1.5 million. We're going to get a way better price than just buying 500,000.
Right. That makes sense.
And we have a standard note group that we're involved in.
That's a good idea.
It's really the best way to get good pricing.
Mhm.
We don't JV.
No.
We just join forces, pool money. JVing is very dirty business that we don't get into at all.
It's dirty business and it's risky business in terms of, just the term JV brings up SEC issues, and you want to stay as far away from that term as you possibly can. If you can structure it as a loan and get the same, an LLC, or get the same result, but an actual JV gets you over into SEC land. And you're right.
Yeah, I'm actually not even considering that, because I would structure it as an LLC. I'm really just considering that, let's say you and I JV on a note,
Mhm.
and you want to do exit strategy A, and I think exit strategy A is bad, and I want to do exit strategy C. Who
Mhm.
wins?
Yeah.
So it's just annoying, messy business that we just don't get involved in that.
That's a good thing.
So usually when in our note group, we usually end up buying the whole tape and then doing a snake draft to see who gets what.
What's a snake draft?
Was that you, Nick?
No, that was me. What is a snake draft?
Oh, so a snake draft is you put numbers in a hat. You have 6 members,
Mhm.
put in 1 through 6 in a hat. Everybody draws a number. The snake draft works like this. Whoever gets the first pick gives
Mhm.
everybody $500 because they have the bonus of being the first pick. So that $500 pays for their first pick. And then they make a pick. Then number 2 makes a pick, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 6 makes another pick. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 makes a second pick. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 makes 2 picks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2 picks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Until the notes are gone.
Huh. I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really actually the fairest way to do it, believe it or not.
And so when you say make a pick, That's something that you've done at least cursory underwriting on.
We've done full due diligence on it, not cursory, full.
Okay. All right.
And a lot of people will only do due diligence on the notes they're interested in at
Mhm.
PAC. If we have a tape with 80 notes on it, we do full due diligence on all 80 notes, so we know which ones we want. So the group,
Interesting.
yeah, it is. I mean, it is interesting. It works out really well. The group does due diligence as a collective, and then PAC, we always do our separate due diligence.
Gotcha.
Because
So
we all know money is made on the buy.
that's right. So how much money, or how much money, how much time are you spending roughly per asset on DD?
So on these types of trades, because the note group is also involved in the due diligence, believe it or not, it can be a couple months.
Mhm.
When we just do a tape by ourselves, we have 4 partners, everybody does a piece. My piece is usually the longest, which is a title search.
Mhm.
And that usually results in, it could be anywhere from 10 minutes to 3 hours. So I would say, let's say an hour and a half per asset.
So you're not, I mean, so what level of due diligence are you doing before you buy the tape?
The entire piece. I know everything I can about the note before I buy it. Literally everything.
But somebody's not going to give you a couple of months to analyze the tape before you make a buy
No,
decision.
I said for the note investor group, it can be several months.
Right.
When we buy a tape ourselves, I can look at 30 notes in 4 days, 5 days.
Okay. All right.
But we do everything. We do TLO, we do PACER, we do credit reports, we do title searches. We literally do everything before we even consider buying a tape.
Good for you.
I mean, it's the only way to do it, really.
Yeah. And not make some boo-boos. You're still going to make some boo-boos, but.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Sometimes I can't get a title search. So those we may buy blind, that we don't know if it's really a valid lien or not.
Right.
But, and we don't pay for anything until, we don't pay for any due diligence until we have the note. But then if something is bad, because then if I can't get it and we actually do buy the tape, then we may actually order a title report for like $90.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's no good, then we'll just exercise our reps and warrants and trade the note back, or, you know, get reimbursed, whatever.
Right. Very good. All right.
Nick, you want to talk about anything?
Do you have any issues with North Carolina?
That's one of the ones that's sort of up in the air, where people think it's an issue and then other people don't. I personally, the only 2 notes I have in North Carolina, I only have 2 notes there. I have boarded with attorneys, and so therefore I don't have any problems. So I can't answer you. And that's one of those ones that some lawyers don't even know. Some lawyers will tell you North Carolina is a problem. Some will tell you it's not.
What's supposed to be the problem?
Well, there's, you know, new regs are coming out all the time where states are now saying you have to be registered.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be, you know, you have to get an NMLS certification.
Ohio and Michigan, yeah. Gotcha.
Ohio is 100%.
Right.
Washington even, but Washington is not NMLS. Washington is just themselves, just their own state. But Georgia, it used to be a problem, and then I went in, I actually read the statute. It's not a problem for me. And that's the kind of work that I do. I research deep and find out what I need to find out. But Georgia ends up not actually being a problem.
So they're saying you have to be registered or be an MLS just to even own a note.
In Ohio, 100%.
Yeah.
180%. Certain places like Illinois are starting to become problems. Like I have 2 notes in Illinois that I'm trying to board with an attorney. And because I don't have pay history, they're not wanting to take the foreclosures on. And secondarily, you can only do 3 transactions or 3 note transactions, individual note transactions per year in Illinois. So if you buy 2 and sell 1, that's it. You're done in Illinois for the year.
So is there a sort of exemption date in Ohio that you know of? In other words, if you bought it before date XYZ?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think just by virtue of owning notes there, even if you have them boarded with attorneys, you still have to have the certification.
Right. I keep hearing that. I haven't done anything about it yet. I've probably got 5 notes there, so I should probably check it out. But
yeah, in the past, it's always been our contention that by definition, lawyers are collection agents and therefore they're registered and therefore that's good enough.
Right.
And in Ohio, that's no longer the case.
Are those for CFDs or mortgages?
Mortgages, we don't do CFDs.
Okay.
CFDs are, again, messy business.
Okay. Good.
Jay writes, is the average price per UPB of the note increasing since 12 months ago? The answer to that is 185% yes. Absolutely. It's a wild west out there right now. People are charging whatever they feel like charging. It's seconds are going for 80 cents. That's unbelievable. 12 months ago, not so. It was still the Wild West, but it was just becoming the Wild West. Now it is full-fledged raging the Wild West.
Sounds like California.
Yeah. Although I like California notes because as blue as the state is, believe it or not, you can foreclose there super speedy.
Well, yeah, there's a gazillion hang-ups on it, but yeah.
Super speedy. Which our end goal is never to foreclose. We always want to work out. We make more money on payments. But if I have to foreclose, it's nice to know I can get my money back quick. Nick knows I have a couple of nightmare notes that have been going on for 8 years now in foreclosure.
In California?
No, in New Jersey. California's speedy. That's who we use Matt for that. Who we love. What's the name of his business? Do you remember, Nick? I have emails I can look up, but he's got a great foreclosure business there.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a second.
And he's awesome. But again, our interest is actually not in taking the home. We hate owning homes. It's just nightmarish, actually.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah.
And, but if I have to, I have to. When we do foreclose, we always hope it sells at sheriff's sale so we don't have to take it. We still have that silly building in Columbus, Ohio. It's silly little 4-bedroom building or 4-unit building.
Yeah, how come?
Because the offers keep coming in and they keep going up and up. And Dennis can't make a decision. I'm like, Dennis, just take an offer and sell it. Get rid of it. Who cares? Nobody wants it. Get rid of it.
Okay, well, I would love to hang out longer, but my clock is ticking here and I've got to roar on to something else because I thought we were going to start at 4. So I will join you guys again in 2 weeks.
Well, we were glad to have you. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, we would definitely love to see you again.
All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, Richard, have a great night.
You too.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm just texting my dad downstairs.
Yeah, you just scream at him, Dad.
No, because then you'll hear me. He requested meatloaf for dinner tonight, so I made him a meatloaf. It's like his favorite, which I don't know. I find that interesting. Who the hell loves meatloaf like that?
Well, I was just watching, what is it? The Wedding Crashers, the movie.
Thank you, Jay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wedding Crashers, the movie, is on all the time. It's on TV. I was watching a scene with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
You know, he's a fully grown man and he lives with his mom. And his friend comes over and he says, "You want something to eat? I'll get you something to eat." And he leans over his shoulder and says, "Ma, we want some meatloaf."
I remember that scene. Wasn't
it's
it Will
great.
Ferrell?
Yeah, it's really, really funny.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
Ma, the meatloaf. It's great.
Yeah, I remember that one. You're right. It's literally on all the time. Jay, you just made Jay laugh. So my daughter called me today, and I'm like, I'm literally elbow deep in meatloaf. I'm like, I just can't answer the phone. I got egg all over me.
Use your nose. You don't have nose print?
The what? Oh, you mean on the phone?
You have an Android. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I never tried the nose print.
I'm not sure I would ever do that. What do you do? You lean over and touch the phone with your nose?
Well, like, yeah, instead of your finger, I guess you could use your nose. I never even thought of really doing that, but it seems like a good idea now.
I would never do that. Even if I could do that. You know how you can talk and text? I don't even do that. I literally type everything out. And I don't use shortcuts.
Yeah.
Like I literally type, like I hate when people type, SMH or, like that bothers me. So I don't use a lot of emojis or I pretty much type exactly what I want to say, like the whole word.
Yeah. That's so 90s of you.
I know. It drives me crazy. Like, we can't even type out, I do use LOL. That one I do use because you have to signify you're laughing. So I do use that one, but I don't use any other one. Literally. I don't do BRB. Like I would say, be right back. And I'm a texter, but I never use the voice to text ever. Even in the car, which is bad. But when if I'm texting in the car, it's super succinct and I look up after every letter. Like I do a letter and I look up and I do a letter and I look up and I do a letter and I look up. So it's not horrific. Actually, I was playing spades. I was stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. I was doing a consulting gig at HCSB in Paramus. And I was driving home rush hour traffic on the Parkway, and I was stuck in it. Like literally, we weren't moving. And if we were moving, it was like 1 mile an hour. So I was like playing spades while I was driving.
Yeah.
And so my car was moving, but like 1 mile an hour, but it was moving. And I was playing it, dropped a card. I look up and the car in front of me, the bumper is like right in my face. I'm like, shit. Slammed on the brakes. That was the only time I've ever even remotely had a slight accident relative to my phone. But I was so bored. I was sitting in the traffic. It was just so bad. So bad. If I didn't make great, crazy money doing that gig, I wouldn't have done it. Sure, Jay writes, shorthand used to be mainly for court reporters years ago. True enough. True enough. And I'm okay with that because they're going to take it home and transcribe it into full text. But I don't want to see it in my texts. It drives me a little batty. My daughter does it all the time, and I'm like, ugh, how do I tell her this sucks? You know what I mean?
No, I don't, because I'm using shorthand.
It's just awful. So coronavirus, we were talking about it on the phone the other day on our call yesterday, and Dennis who lives in Brooklyn he lives in Staten Island, works in Brooklyn. He's all worried about it. He's like insane about it. And I'm like, dude, wash your hands. It's like a mild flu. The strain of flu we had this year was actually worse than coronavirus. A common cold is a coronavirus. People don't realize that.
Yeah, I think my wife told me that coronavirus is actually listed on the Lysol bottle.
Exactly.
Right? As one of the ones it gets. Yeah.
Yeah. Common cold is a coronavirus.
I think it's just a lot more contagious, I think.
It's not, though. Here's why it's coming out as like a 2% death rate, whereas normal flu is like a 1.1% death rate, is because the United States hasn't tested anyone. They've tested like 600 people. They tested more people. Believe me, the percentage of death would actually go down. I mean, this year in the United States, just to put it in perspective, this year in the United States, something like 80,000 people died from the strain of flu that we had this year. 80,000 people died from regular flu.
Yeah.
So put that in perspective. People are just worried about it because it came out of China and conspiracy theory.
Well, I think that does make it scarier somehow. I don't know how, but
but that's what I'm saying. That's the only, if you look at it, there's really nothing to it. It just, like, the people that are dying too are like over 70. I mean, or if they're under 70, they have a different underlying problem with their immunity or their immune system or their respiratory system. So, and that happens in regular flu. So that's you see my point? It's really not.
Yes. But okay. So I've heard varying numbers. So I'm looking here right now, and it says seasonal flu kills about 0.1%. This is the New York Times. Okay, it kills about 0.1%.
I don't trust the New York Times. Give me a different source.
0.1. Okay. Well, okay. I have on the other side of it, I have CNBC as of yesterday saying, oh no, the WHO says corona death rate is 3.4. Now, that could be exaggerated for the same reason that you said, is that we just haven't been testing yet.
That's right. But the regular flu, again, New York Times at 0.1, they're actually wrong. It's like 1.1 or 1.2, something like that.
Washington Post might have something to say about it.
Again, Washington Post, New York Times, not good.
Come on, what do you want?
Something other than Washington Times and Washington Post and New York Times. Those are untrustworthy sources of information. Entirely. I'll take who?
Oh man.
Jay, are you going to try and get a microphone for me?
Do you have some nice PAX swag microphone you could send them with the logo on it or something?
No, he says his computer will not allow it. How come? Oh, you know, you could dial in too. Like on a cell phone. I'd love for you to chat with us. You seem like just all in. And we don't know, you know, you see, we don't always talk notes. Sometimes we go into different
Yeah,
topics.
that's for sure.
Well, I'm a chatty Cathy, so I'll literally talk about anything. You know that.
Well, so like, let's bring it back to notes, right? So like I heard Italy, they closed all schools and universities in the whole country.
Right.
Which is, I mean, that's a massive move, right? So if that were to happen here, what does that do to the ability to pay on our notes? For our borrowers to pay on the notes.
So again, going back to what I said earlier, the only ones that would be affected are people who are in the manufacturing business or blue collar, because they like have to actually go to work in order to make money. People who are in white collar jobs or teaching positions or things like that can do telecommuting.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
but what about people having to stay home with their kids too?
Again, it depends on what kind of job they have.
Yeah.
Because kids are doing telelearning. If, you know, mom can be on one computer doing telecommuting and kid can be on another computer doing telelearning. So, you know, to me, it's the same thing. The only borrowers you really need to be concerned about are the ones that have jobs that they can't do from home.
Yeah, right.
And that could be a significant percentage, you know. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think we have any basis to make a good guess.
Yeah, I don't either. And Jay makes a really valid point. If it's bad enough, the U.S. government will pay or find some money for the mortgage. It's true. It's true.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Well, I was watching PMQs this morning, which happens every Wednesday in Britain, the Prime Minister. And now they're more socialist than we are, but and I hope it always stays that way. But they've instituted programs that for people who self-quarantine, they have like sick pay starting on the 4th day of being sick. So the first 3 days you don't get paid, starting on the 4th. You do. They're putting in temporary measures to encourage people to stay home when they're sick, to immediately start giving sick pay on the first day.
Right.
And they're, you know, for like 80% of the jobs out there. Then they have something called universal credit where they can draw out of the system money, but they have to pay it back upon need. So the other 20% would fall into universal credit where they can go to the government and get $5,000, but they have to pay it back. So governments are instituting that kind of planning in case something large scale like that happens, because we don't all have health insurance. We don't all have sick pay. We don't all have all of the things that would be required in order to keep living in case we get to that point. Like Trump said it today or yesterday. because Nancy Pelosi made a stupid comment about the vaccines and the therapies need to be affordable, which is so stupid. If we're in the middle of like this major outbreak and you don't have health insurance, there's not a doctor or hospital that's going to charge you, because by you having it, you're causing other people to potentially get it, right?
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I never really thought about who would pay for a vaccine if they were going to do that on a widespread basis. I mean, the flu vaccine is free basically anywhere you go,
Right.
isn't it? Like, so why wouldn't this be?
Well, it's not free. Somebody's paying for it. Like it could be a
Yeah,
company.
who is it though? Is it the insurance? Is it my insurance company?
Well, it could be a company benefit. Your
Well, like
company,
when
your
CVS
company
says,
may say, go to CVS and tell them you work for Oracle and you'll get a free flu shot. You understand what I'm saying?
like, yeah, but CVS puts a sign out front of the store saying free flu shots. Are they just assuming you have insurance when you walk in the door?
I personally have never seen free flu shots at CVS. I've seen program flu shots at CVS, meaning you're falling under some program. Like when I worked at an actual job, my employer paid for the flu shots.
Yeah, no, I've seen more broad.
Actually, my employer would bring the nurse and the flu shots into the office.
Yeah.
And, you just get called into a huddle room somewhere where the nurse set up shop and get a flu shot right on the job. Jay writes, drugstores may pay for flu shots. So that may be possible. I personally have never seen that. I have seen companies provide flu shots for people, either at a preferred doctor or getting a voucher that they can use somewhere else. Like my company bringing flu shots in to the office. Also, insurance companies have a vested interest in making sure you get a flu shot as well. So I've seen those three scenarios. I've never seen 100% free flu shots. And maybe there are free flu shots depending on need. Like you don't have 50 bucks in your pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that probably exists.
Yeah.
But I personally have never seen just outright free flu shots. Somebody has to pay for them. But in this particular case, number one, I'm not freaked out by coronavirus. I'm more freaked out by the response to coronavirus and the drama that causes. The actual virus itself, I'm not really too concerned about.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. How is Scientific American as a source? Does that meet your criteria?
Way more than WAPO and New York Times.
Okay, all right. So this is a month old, which kind of helps because it gives a little perspective. But so at the time, there were only 20,000 illnesses. And they said that it was, well, the flu, they say, had already, this as of a month ago, the common flu already had 10,000 deaths associated with it.
In the US, I think it's more than that. Because on average, every year, 35,000 people die from flu. On average. Some years it's more, some years it's less.
All right. Well, that's what they were saying. So 10,000 a month ago. So it could be more. But they also go on to say that, well, so far this flu season, 0.05% of the people who caught the flu have died.
Yeah. I wouldn't dispute that.
Okay, so it's point something.
But 18 million people this year had the flu.
Yeah.
And it was a weird strain. I personally got the flu.
Yeah, and at the time, Corona is 2%. They said it was 2%.
But it's 2%. Yeah, that's what I said before, 2%. But it's 2% because not enough testing is going on.
Yeah, well, right.
What's interesting about this coronavirus as well is it doesn't seem to be hitting kids.
Yeah, it's a weaker and older population, right?
Yeah, kids under 14
Yeah.
are not, they seem to just have some kind of immunity to it. Now, once I say that, tomorrow they'll be like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
All right, Jay is going to leave us in 20 minutes, 22 minutes. But Jay, I want you to try and call in next time because I'd much rather hear from you. Promise me? Oh, he's leaving in 4 minutes. You said the bottom of the hour. Are you going to try and call in next time? The bottom of the hour is not 8:43.
I think he's 9 minutes late.
He's laughing with us. I still haven't seen you promise that you're not. Why aren't you going to call in? I'd love to hear from you. You're engaged. I like it. And even when we go off topic, you're in there too. I like it. He's going to see. He's not sure. We're very friendly people. All right. So maybe not next time, but maybe in April. How's that? Try in April. Good. As long as you try, that's all that matters. Bye. Have a good night. Nick, Jay is leaving. Say goodbye.
Bye.
So, yeah, coronavirus, even like in Italy, I will tell you one thing I found that was strange. One thing I found very strange is that outside, now this is going back a couple weeks, outside of China, the two biggest areas hit were Iran and Italy, right? And of course, South Korea, but that's just proximity. What does that tell you about how Iran got it? How did it get into Iran?
I don't know.
Think about that. That means China probably had talks with Iran. People going back and forth, chit chat going on. I find that very fascinating. Now bring Italy into the mix. I chalk Italy's outbreak up to two things. One, they Italian people travel like nobody's business. They're like all over the freaking world. And two, a lot of Chinese people go to Italy, either by ship or flight or whatever. But there are a lot of Chinese people in Italy. I remember standing one time in a piazza in, what was it? I was in Florence, and was it Florence? Yeah, I guess it was Florence. Huge piazza, and like 40% of the people were Chinese. So that's what I chalk Italy up to. But Iran, I found it very interesting that there was a huge outbreak there, because where would they get it? How would they get it? That means Iran and China are chit-chatting quite a bit, which I find kind of scary. What about you?
I was just looking at a map that shows
Like I said, I'm going back 2 weeks to the
origins.
outbreaks.
Yeah, the origins in the States. It doesn't really get into. It's kind of interesting because it shows, like, I guess the origin. So, for example, on our East Coast, the origin is primarily from Europe, it looks like. So France, no, and then it goes to Iran, and then on the west, and then Africa. It came to Africa the same way.
Well, the one,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry, South America.
it went to Africa by an Italian guy who had a house in Africa. Brought it to Africa. The person in New York that got it from Iran.
Yeah.
The outbreak in Washington is completely and utterly a mystery. But
yeah, I don't know. They show a lot of flights. I mean, we have a lot of flights from China. Like, it looks like Shanghai.
But they haven't traced it yet. They don't know the exact origin yet. They're still working on the tracing of how people got it. Because all the deaths in Washington were in like a nursing home up until I think yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were like all nursing home people. But so how did it get into the nursing home? That's still a mystery. Whoever the one person that's died since then or has it since then, died since then actually. They still don't know how that person got it. But, also remember there were 42 people on a cruise ship that got it from America. Those people are theoretically supposed to be in quarantine at a naval base in California. And then some idiot CDC worker put people on a flight because remember Trump was saying if you have the virus, stay where you are.
Yeah.
Don't come home.
I know, they shipped them all.
Yeah, these people like tested positive, and in the last minute, the CDC worker said, "Okay, get on the plane." Trump was pissed. Like, keep that shit where it belongs. But the problem that we're having, everybody else is testing like crazy. South Korea has drive-through testing. I think that's hysterical. You drive through, you don't have to car and they'll test shit. So South Korea is doing drive-through. We're not.
You got to get it done quick.
It's just so funny. But we're not testing. We're not testing anybody. And part of that is due to like Obama regulation. The tests needed to be verified or something, according to Azar. The tests, according to this one regulation that Obama put in place, that the tests needed to be, like one stage of them needed to be verified. And so Trump said, all right, no more of that. Took out that verification requirement, which was apparently fairly stupid. And now tests are starting to flow. But that just happened in the last day or two. So we haven't been testing anybody, like, unless, we were absolutely sure they might have it. I still, dude, you gotta like YouTube the South Korean drive-through testing. It's hysterical. They literally drive up, have a thermometer put to their head.
Yeah.
Normal reading, they drive out. Oh my God. South Korea is actually on the ball with technology though, because they're actually in their airport, they put in thermometers. So you don't even know, but you're walking as you get off a plane.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, you're going through a thermometer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I actually just prefer Trump's method. Just don't come here from certain countries.
Yes, I know you do.
Just don't come here, because the walk-through thermometer might not actually catch everything. Just stay where you are, dude. You don't have to come home right now. Stay over there. I mean, there are, if you look, if you can Google or YouTube some like little villages in Italy. I mean, Italy is normally people everywhere walking. There are very walking kind of people out and about in the town. Towns are like ghost towns,
Yeah.
and they're vibrant, villages, and they're like ghost towns right now. It's crazy. France is he when Richard said he wanted to like live in Paris for 6, I was like, dude, there's wouldn't want to live in Paris right now. There's just last week they were protesting, lighting cars on fire and shit, like in downtown Paris.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Do you know who Tommy Robinson is?
No.
So he's this guy in England who everybody calls him a far right extremist and racist and anti this, but the reality is he's actually never said anything anti-racist, or he's never said anything racist. But you say you have a certain view and you're immediately a racist today. So are you familiar with like the rape gangs in England?
Not intimately.
Okay, so for like the last 30 years, little girls in England have been raped by the thousands, right? Like 1,600 rape victims of rape in one town over 10 years. Just it's been going on for years and years and years. So the major perpetrators of it are what they call Asians over there, which are Pakistani, Sikh, that kind of thing. But they never want to use the actual term, so they say Asian, which I don't know that Pakistani qualifies as Asian. I know Indian does, but I'm not sure that Pakistan does. But anyway, so they're Asian rape gangs, basically. And you'll have like 40 men in a town that have raped 1,600 girls. And so Tommy Robinson was going to call, like, he's built his reputation on calling out these rape gangs. And because they happen to be Asian most of the time, he's been called a far right extremist. He's been called a Muslim hater. He's been called racist. He's been called all these things. But who's doing it are actually Muslims, right? So he just got arrested because his daughter, he was at a I don't know, I guess their version of a family resort, and his daughter was in the pool. His 8-year-old daughter was in the pool and had her ass grabbed by an Asian guy, and he punched him. He got arrested. Isn't that terrible?
Mm.
I mean, what if somebody did that to your daughter?
No, of course.
A bloody nose. That's all he did was give him a bloody nose. So they arrested him and let the guy leave. He's like, well, we don't have an allegation to go. What do you mean you don't have an allegation? You sat down with my daughter. My daughter told you he grabbed her ass. That's assault. She's 8 years old. you know what I mean? So they arrested him, but not the guy.
Yeah.
Is that unbelievable? So over there in England, the reason it's such a problem, the reason it's so prolific, is that the cops don't arrest these Asian gangs for fear of being called racist. Political correctness has gone to the point where in one town, Rotherham, 1,600 girls were raped over a period of 10 years.
Mm.
Is that insane? They actually walked in on a gang rape occurring to like a little 13-year-old girl who was like stoned and drugged up. And they literally just left. Is that crazy?
Mm. Yeah. So what's going on there? It's
A
weird.
father, another story, a father called the police because his daughter was inside a building being raped by like 4 men at one time. And they came and arrested the father. Didn't take the girl out. She continued to be raped. While the police took the father down to the jail. Their political correctness is so out of control.
Mm.
So I bring that up because this coronavirus is putting national borders into perspective. In other words, don't come to England, don't come to the US, don't come, stay where you are. We don't want you because we don't know what diseases you have. I think that's sort of a fascinating like repercussion of this coronavirus. I don't know if you do, but politically I do. I think it's kind of fascinating. People actually want to close their borders now.
Mm.
And you know, it's funny, everybody talks about how like liberal Europe is, and it is. But in the last week, there have been like 3 elections that have all gone to right-wing parties, which is really new for Europe. And of course, it makes me happy because I want to see the downfall of globalism in the EU. So always makes me happy. I think the EU is bad. I think it's very, very bad.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
People understood how bad it was. They wouldn't want to be in it. They think it's democratic. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think just whenever you consolidate power too much, it's a problem just in general. I mean, without the details of how that, how the EU was organized and formed and things, but just in general, I don't think you want to consolidate too much.
I agree. Globalism is a horrible thing. But what makes it really bad is that people in every country vote for what they call MEPs, members of European Parliament.
Yeah.
And they think they're actually doing something democratic by casting that vote. Except MEPs have literally no power. None. They can't vote on legislation. All they can do is talk and debate. That's it.
Yeah.
The people who actually vote on legislation and can introduce legislation are appointed. Where's the democracy? If people knew that, not enough people understand. People in Europe don't even understand the EU. If people knew that, just those 2 facts, that the Parliament has 0 power and the Commission has all the power, I think they'd be against it too. I told you about the $250 million expense per year of 4 days per month going to Strasbourg, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. On the plus side, Macron is almost out. Merkel is almost out. Good stuff is happening. What I think is interesting, though, is in this country, the socialists, Bernie and AOC and all that, I'm surprised that I was kind of scared when England had their elections because the Labour Party, which is like Bernie and AOC here, got so trounced. They haven't taken a beating like that since like 1935.
Yeah.
I was kind of scared that the left would get smart to it by seeing that as an example, but they didn't. so that actually made me happy. They still put all their shit out on full display.
Mm.
It's just crazy. I saw one of these man on the street things in AOC's district asking how many people like socialism. The guy talked to like 20 people 19 out of 20 people had nothing good to say about socialism. The one guy that did have something good to say about socialism drove away with a pair of custom-made Armani frames in a Mercedes 300 class. That's the one guy who had something good to say. I just think this stuff is funny. I mean, socialism is bad. And, you know, in this country, there are safety nets. It's not like people, if somebody needed a doctor or to go to the ER, they wouldn't be able to. They would. It's not like the safety nets don't exist here. So, anyway. All of that is relative to Corona, believe it or not. I think the response to this coronavirus is going to be close the borders, stop the nonsense. Do you see what I'm saying? I think in the end, it's going to be good for the end of globalism and that centralized power that you're talking about.
Yeah, it depends on how big it becomes.
Well, I got to tell you, what's truly scary about the centralized power of the EU is they are currently looking to create an army. And that's what's scary to me more than anything else. Because there's 27 member nations, right? The same army that can be used to protect them can be used against them.
Mm.
And the EU having an army, there's nothing good that can come from that.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's the scariest thing. They just last year got a national anthem. They were never supposed to have a national anthem because they're not a country. They now have a national anthem. What are you watching?
I'm actually not watching anything. It's on in the other room.
Oh, wow. It's loud.
Yeah, it is a little loud. My office door doesn't close well.
Well, it's funny because I only just started hearing it now. I'd never heard it before. It's funny. My father has, he's deaf and he won't admit it. He needs a hearing aid, but he won't admit it. So the TV is up to volume level 85, all the time.
Yeah.
So when I do my pack calls, I do it up here in my bedroom. And everybody on the pack call can hear the TV. As if it's in the room with me. Like, Kat, turn your TV down. I'm like, it's not on. That would be my father downstairs.
Turn down the TV.
Exactly. But he won't because then he can't hear it. He's deaf. It's a hearing aid and he won't admit it. It's so funny. All right, Nikki.
All right. We hit 9.
Yes. Well, I have to pee like a banshee, so that's why I really have to go.
Fair enough.
Not for any other reason other than that.
Good talking to you.
You too. And thanks for the heads up. I completely forgot.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
You got it, sir.